choo. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be arriving at our end station, the Tower of Doom. Welcome back to Planet Terrabella, you crazy bastards. I just got off work and it's great. I can pop myself open a nice cold beer and I can play with my balls without anybody looking at me. And best of all, I can make a video for you guys. And today, I'm going to show you guys how to make a Hyperloop. So, first things first, I'll go over real quick, just for 10 seconds, how it works. In case you haven't seen my other video. And then I'll show you guys how it's done. Alright, I think this thing is pretty self-explanatory. I press 1 right here, and this thing is just sitting on a cushion of thrust. The upper thrusters, I'll talk about that later, they're not absolutely necessary, but it helps with fine tuning, and the side thrusters also help. You don't want anything scraping, otherwise you're not going anywhere. And as you can see, 2 is going in one direction, and 3 in the other. There's thrusters on each end. Alright, let's fire down, and we're going to remove a section of track right here. And then I can show you guys exactly what I've done, give you guys some advice so you can just not go through. And I'm stuck underneath the stairs, so you guys don't have to go through the same painful process I have to go through. I can save you guys some time, even though the rough design is very, I think, self-explanatory. I think I can still give you guys some good advice if you want to replicate this or if you want to build something similar. Okay, first things first, let's ask some basic questions. Why am I calling this a Hyperloop, and why does this design make sense in scrap mechanic? For the first question, we're calling it in real life it's just a proposed design. The Hyperloop would be a vehicle that's riding in a near vacuum tube and just very low pressure air, but still enough so an air compressor in the front can compress air and push it underneath it to have it sit on this cushion of air, and then weak magnets would be used to propel it. With a traditional maglev, you would need superconducting magnets to also give the hovering effect, which are very, very expensive, so the Hyperloop aims to make that cheaper. So I called it a Hyperloop. I was thinking about making an enclosed tube, but it's not necessary. You don't get the view, and it's just, it would take forever to build this track. I noticed the game, when you use wheels on anything rail-like, the game just hates you and gives you a hard time. It just slaps your dick and the physics get all messed up, and almost always it's super jerky. So I thought, hey, you know, after experimenting with elevators, I'll try experimenting with the thrusters. And after a lot of tinkering, this thing runs like butter. You guys seen it. It runs beautifully and every time. And I didn't just put it together and it worked like that. There's a few insights I had to kind of get it to run smooth like that, and I'll tell you exactly what that is. So first, I'll start with the really obvious shit, which is, so I started with the bottom track, and you want to make sure you don't start on a lift, because if you start on a lift, you probably know this, then you're going to end up with a separate item, and when you kind of extend your track one day, it'll just topple over. So put it into the ground, or in this case, I put it in my building, which is already attached to the ground, and you can literally build to infinity, and you don't even have to you don't have to put pillars in the ground ever. The game lets you do that. I did anyway, but only for aesthetic reasons. Secondly, I find it easier to build the track and the vehicle together, so they start in one piece. Where I built a track, and then I made a connection to the basic platform of the vehicle, and from there did the thrusters, and then, you know, added the side thrusters, the top thrusters, and then from there you can sort of see what the distances are for the other tracks that you need. And everything was connected. When I built the side tracks, I connected that to the bottom tracks, and it was all one piece, and until I had some track that was longer than the vehicle itself, and like most of the layout of the vehicle, sort of the dimensions I wanted and the thrusters in the right places, then I disconnected everything, and from there on it was always sitting on the track, as you can see, like that, and I could mess with it further. You could build this vehicle separately. In this case, you can actually put this vehicle in here with a lift. All you have to do is remove some section at the top, and the lift will put it in here. You know, with other railway systems, when you're using wheels, there's no way you'll ever get your vehicle back on track. Once you lose it, and you better have a save copy. And the next one that's super obvious is obviously keep your shit balanced. Keep all the weight the same on each end of the vehicle. You know, count the blocks, and yeah, I mean, you guys all know that. You guys all build stuff, and so the question you might have is, why do I need a top track? Well, I'm gonna say you don't. I ran into a lot of problems in the beginning of the build. At first, I noticed that the nose end was pushing up, and that makes sense because you have thrust coming only from one side, and the vehicle, as it got faster and faster, it would sort of gain height, and then it would fly off the tracks. Also, I wanted adjustability. Instead of, you could tune it with just weight and bottom thrusters, but I wanted top thrusters to give me more tuning, because it takes a little bit of tinkering to get it to float just perfectly. So until I came up with a way to balance the nose, I had a lot of problems. Either the vehicle would fly and the top thrusters would hit the top track, which was fine once I extended the side tracks to where it wouldn't fly off, but for some reason when the top scraped, the vehicle went really slow and jerky. When it's just barely off the bottom, that's when it's working best in my opinion. And the problem with the nose coming up was either it would fly really high, or it would sort of gain a little bit of air and then fall back down and scrape again on the bottom, and it would go and get faster, and then all of a sudden it would slow down and then get faster again and slow down. So once I realized that I should balance the nose just with a tiny bit of weight, that's when all my problems disappeared and this thing became really smooth, and I'll show you guys right now how exactly I did that. Okay, you guys see that little arm? So it's got a bearing that sits there, and I'll just show you guys. So the vehicle won't go anywhere if I'm just firing one of the rear thrusters. So now the bearing is in the center of the vehicle and the arms can remain where they are. I'll turn these off, and now I'm firing the rear thrusters, and these arms come forward to add a little bit more weight to the front, and that was just enough. I mean, that's light material right there to keep the nose from coming up, and that sort of made the vehicle hover steady, like evenly, and from that point on it became buttery smooth. There's only one more issue I had to work out. So and that issue was the side thrusters. I'm gonna go down here and you can see, so the vehicle is actually crooked, which is really weird. Before I had it straight as an arrow, and it was each thruster was hugging on both sides the railing. I had the thruster one block out on each side, and it was actually, could barely get any speed, and it would do the same thing, stop and go, stop and go. So I said, hey, I'm gonna put exactly one block of space on each side between the thrusters and the walls, and that's what I did. And now, I mean, you barely notice it when you drive the thing, but it's always sort of at an angle, but it's going butter smooth, so I'm not complaining. And I mean, people have asked me to do a turn, and that's my next project. First thing I'm going to do after this is make this thing turn. I think this gives me some clearance for slight bends, like 15 degrees or less. But anyway, once I did that, that's when this thing really went butter smooth. Of course, you want to make sure that even though it's riding crooked, that the track is just wide enough to so your bottom thrusters don't fall off. So I guess knowing what we know now, which is to balance the nose out with those little arms, and to know the distance of the side thrusters you need. At this point I could probably remove the top track. It's all we built, so I won't, but when you guys build your own Hyperloop, if you are, then I don't think you need the top track. It's a little harder to sort of add weight around to get it just to hover off the bottom track the right amount, but it's you guys might prefer to not have a top track, and it'll be less build time for the track. The track, I wanted it simple. I think it's simple enough where it's not super tedious to have it pretty long to go from one end of the map to the other. So I think this design makes a lot of sense, and I have an idea for how to make it bend, and I'll make another video on that. And if I fail, then I'll make an epic fail video. No shame, you guys will know whether it worked or not. Anyway, next of course I'm going to show you guys the connections. I think that's a good way to end this. So I only have 3 switches. Number 1 is the hover switch, which is in the middle, and it connects to the side thrusters, the bottom thrusters, the top thrusters, basically everything that keeps this thing cushioned in the middle between these tracks. And then 2 and 3 are simply one end and the other end. And then the arm is also hooked up in a way that it goes to the opposite end of the thrusters. And I made it so there's 2 driver seats on each end, and yeah, it's kind of weird. You're gonna go in reverse in one direction, but that doesn't really bother me. So anyways, guys, thanks a lot for watching. You know, my channel is super tiny. I mean, as tiny as it gets, really. But I'm having so much fun making these videos that I want to keep improving them. I just, maybe you notice, I just got a new mic, and it's like so smooth and soothing. I could tell myself bedtime stories right now, and I could probably cure my own insomnia. But I want to make better builds. I want to make higher production quality videos. You know, I want to get better at editing. I want to do all these things, and I work a lot. I barely sleep, but so it's gonna be like a small, slow rate of improvement, but I'm gonna make sure that my video keep improving. So please, if you like this video, subscribe. If you are subscribed and you're sort of tempted, hey, like this guy makes shitty videos, to unsubscribe, don't give me a few weeks, don't unsubscribe yet. I lost a subscriber this morning. I was like, no, I only have 12. What did I do? But yeah, guys, it's great fun. One person asked me, oh my god, I'm so famous. One person asked me to make a tutorial, so here it is. You know, if you have any suggestions, I will take it to heart. 2 other people challenged me to make a turn, and I will make a turn. I promise I will try. And as I said, if I fail, I'll make an epic fail video. If I succeed, then I'll make the video showing me succeeding. And next, I really want to challenge myself with something really difficult, and I'm probably gonna fail epically. I want to build a walking mech that has more joints than all the other bipedal mechs I've seen, that actually has ankle joints and a knee joint, and also has arms to counterbalance its movement, and it should fly. I know it's gonna be ridiculously hard. I'll probably fail, but I'm gonna go OCD on that and really try to nail it. So anyway, guys, to like the handful of people that watch my videos, thank you so much. And keep your balls up. I'll see you guys in the next video.